Raven. One of the infamous handler Walter's hounds. Interesting. You ready to climb the wall?
What's good, YouTube? It's your host Sintana the Prince, and you are now watching MVP Magazine. And today we are reviewing Armored Core 6.
C4621, reconfiguring changeover.
Time to fly, 621.
Welcome, Ravens. Armored Core 6 is the latest in From Software's franchise, where you play an armored mercenary who goes around blowing up robots for corporations and cash. And yes, even though this game has been developed by From Software, the people who brought you Demon's Souls, and features, a few of the same elements like character customization, huge 3D environments, and expansive and cool boss fights, this game is not Demon's Souls with mechs. I repeat, this game is not Demon's Souls. Now, if you're a fan of From Software's game development style and art direction, there's definitely still a lot of things here for you. This game is just not Dark Souls.
Must be rough only having one good pilot to rely on. Oh? Are you suggesting your dog can take Freud's place? You'll see. Just give us the chance. Very well then. We're also deploying V4. Who's been equally brazen of late. Let's see how they both perform.
And when I say that Armored Core is not Demon's Souls, I definitely do not mean that as a negative. As a longtime fan of the franchise, I definitely want you to know that they do have similarities, but just to enjoy Armored Core for what it is, which is its own thing. And that way, even if you're a new From Software fan, you'll be able to get into this and not be disappointed. Now, as stated before, Armored Core is a game where you play a mercenary and you take on corporate contracts to earn cash. Now, the story hasn't always played the forefront in these games, but in this version, they did what they can to make it a lot more palatable. But generally, the gameplay loop is going to be a lot more action-based, a lot more about taking down mission objectives, collecting the cash, and buying some loot, which doesn't sound so bad to me. Now, there's also some very cool boss fights with huge, very large scale bosses and tons of set pieces, which I know you guys will be familiar with if you guys have played Demon's Souls. I know, that just makes the whole thing very confusing. I say, don't expect Demon's Souls, but then again, I say there's tons of stuff which is like Demon's Souls. Just stick with me. Just stick with me. Either way, you play a mercenary, you decide which corporation you want to fight for, you get your cash, and you level up and get your rewards. Now, even though the gameplay loop sounds simple, at times it can be frustrating, which is why you gotta bear with it. But if you do, you definitely will be rewarded.
AP, 50%.
I just wanted to call sign of my own. Enemy AC destroyed. That's it for this job.
Now, even though certain missions in Armored Core 6 feature huge, expansive 3D environments, you'll quickly see that the gameplay mechanics haven't been set up to promote exploration, which will definitely turn off certain gamers and, just disappoint some people, especially if you came here from Dark Souls. But if you stick with it, you'll see that the gameplay mechanics have been set up to promote retrying and replaying the missions or getting them done in the most efficient, calculated, speedy ways as possible. So huge environments for all the levels won't necessarily facilitate that, especially when you've got these huge, really cool enemies which facilitate you learning, their attack patterns, much like Dark Souls. Man, that is really becoming a theme. But yeah, nothing beats the feeling of learning an attack pattern from these bosses, getting it down packed, and then beating their butts. And huge levels and exploration wouldn't exactly facilitate that gameplay. So the trade-off is understandable. But man, doesn't mean you don't get some of that exploration. Certain missions do feature small parts where you can go off the beaten path and find extra weapons or extra boss encounters. You've just got to be vigilant enough to find them. Now, customization has always been one of the coolest things about Armored Core. Who doesn't like the idea of basically building their own Gundam robot? Yep, sounds cool to you? Sounds cool to me too. And I am so happy that they haven't hidden most of the customization features behind nonsense like microtransactions and other paywall nonsense. Brilliant From Software. So yeah, in between missions, you can take the money you earn and go to shops and buy better guns, better generators, better everything. And what can be better than better everything, right? Now, the huge scale battles and set pieces are definitely something to behold. In my opinion, this is definitely one of the games where the overall art style trumps the graphics. Which isn't to say this game looks bad, but it's a cross-generation release, so it's understandable that this game might not be up there with some of the other games that's come out this year. That being said, it still looks great. Now, I'm fully aware that this game might not be everyone's cup of tea. As a long-term fan of the Armored Core franchise, I am very glad that they didn't sell out and they pretty much kept it real. The same things which have been frustrated about the series from the beginning are still frustrated about it now, to tell the truth. Welcome for all the new people, welcome to the frustrating world of Armored Core, But it has still got all the things that you love about From Software games. Great balanced combat, great levels, character design, customization, frustrating but infuriatingly great boss designs. And yeah, the whole thing just is hard but rewarding, basically, with mechs. So if that is your bag, you might want to try this. Now, as I said, this game definitely will not be for everyone. It definitely has some jank in it. For all my people who have played against that level 1 boss who chooses to fly outside of the level whilst you're trying to kill... Yeah, I don't even want to talk about that right now. From Software, I don't even know how they left it in the game. But yeah, if you're willing to get past the jank and the parts of it that can be frustrating, there's definitely a great experience in here. Now, for all my people who have played Armored Core before, the movement is not as fluid as Armored Core 4 and 4 Answer, which is interesting because it seems that they've gone back to calling... It seems like this game is somewhat of a reboot, as when we last left the Armored Core franchise, the units themselves were called Nexts, which were the upgrade from the original ACs. But it seems that we're back to ACs in this game. Hey, that's all cool for me. Do you know what I'm saying? I love, hey, ACs work for me. But anyway, if you're on the fence about this, if you get the chance to try it out, I definitely reckon you should. If you wait for a sale, Might be too late because I reckon this game is going to be very popular, and the just get it, just get it. Should you buy Armored Core, get it. All right. So for all my people here, you will be seeing more Armored Core content, me versus the bosses, and all the other great stuff. So like and subscribe. It's your boy Santana the Prince. Out.